Now, I do want to show you something else. I want to show you something very dangerous. So kids, don't try this at home. I am a trained professional. Now, as I mentioned, I am a student of the history of magic, and magic does have a rich history. I'd like to present to you an illusion that was originally performed in China, in the Far East side of Las Vegas. Now, this particular illusion, when it was originally done, it used sewing needles, but I've changed it a little bit. Instead of the needles, I used Gillette double-edged razor blades. Now, the blades are very, very sharp. In fact, you, sir, what's your name?
John.
John. Good memory. John, I want you to take this razor blade, check it out, make sure it's a real Gillette razor blade, okay? No, check it out though. It's a real razor blade. Don't touch the sides though. It's a genuine metal razor blade, correct? Thanks. Now the reason I have John take a look at the razor blade is that nobody believes what I'm about to do with these 8 Gillette double-edged razor blades. Watch closely, and kids, don't try this at home. Oh, these taste like shit. But they're Gillette, John says so right there, remember? Yeah. Now the blades are sharp. I'll show you just how sharp the blades are, and then I will perform an ancient mystery from the Far East. Watch. Sharp. Hua! Hua!
Some of them met the day the church was
The Blades is a routine that I've been doing since the 1980s for a very, very long time. It's been a pet routine of mine for many years, and I first encountered the razor blades when I was a kid. I went to see a magic show in Baltimore, Maryland, and the blades were done by my longtime mentor, Denny Haney of Denny and Lee. I saw Denny do the blades, and I had known about the blades, and I had studied the blades, and I'd wanted to do the blades from some of the books that my mom and dad got me, like Classic Secrets of Magic have an explanation of the blades, and John Booth's book, and all the little magic catalogs you look through with those white line drawings of the magician pulling the razor blades out in a tux, looking very elegant and very mysterious. So the blades had a fascination for me because of that aspect. My mom, of course, said, "No way, you're not doing it," but I actually worked on it secretly, and when she finally saw me do it, she almost had a heart attack. But when I saw Denny do it, he didn't play up the danger factor of the blades too much, although it is dangerous, and you have to be wary of what audiences you do this before, because they are actually concerned for you, and it is dangerous because you're actually putting razor blades in your mouth. You're doing what you appear to be doing. So there is that danger factor, so be aware of that, and we'll talk about that more along the way. But Denny played it comedically, and that made the routine even more attractive to me because it kind of diffused some of that danger and made it entertaining for the audience. This routine is amazing. It's terrific. I always include it in every performance I do. And it's a very versatile routine. You can play this on stage. You can play this in a parlor setting. You can play this even in a close-up setting. Or behind the bar. It's that versatile, and it's that small and that compact. But despite its small size and its simplicity, it plays huge. It is an absolute closer. And over the years, magicians have asked me to tip this to them, and I've been very, very jealously guarding it for many years. But I do think it's time to let this out and release it to the magic community so that you can have as much enjoyment out of the blades that I have. So let's take a look at the blades. We're going to talk about the props that you receive with the blades. Of course, you first get the wallet. This is the razor blade wallet. It's perfectly constructed to hold 8 razor blades. The blades are stuck to the wallet. Actually, they're stuck to this magnetic tape that keeps the blades attached, so there's no fear of them falling out. So it's always ready to go. Back here, there's a pocket where your threaded blades are going to go, but we'll talk about that later on. And the wallet's very small, very compact. It can fit very easily in your vest pocket or your jacket pocket, so you're always ready to go with this. Now you're also going to receive the razor blades themselves. We'll provide these for you. These are stainless steel razor blades. They will tend to rust a little bit depending on how often you do the routine, but just a little bit of baby oil or 3-in-1 oil on there will keep them nice and clean for you. And those are the blades. Also, you'll receive a dulling stone. This is actually a sharpening stone for fish hooks, but what you'll do is you'll rub the edges of the blades just to sort of take that very, very sharp edge off. So that's what the stone is for. So every time you make a new set of blades, you'll want to dull them up so you don't cut yourself. Also with the routine, you receive 2 different types of thread. The first type of thread that you will receive is just a regular cotton thread. This is like you might find in your sewing kits at home, just a regular normal thread, and this thread will break very, very easily, and you'll do that during the routine. You'll also get a second type of thread. This is a little stronger thread. You can't really break it by pulling on it. It's a button craft type of thread. It's a little thicker. It's used for sewing buttons onto your clothes and things like that. So it's really heavy duty. And this is what the actual razor blades that you pull from your mouth will be strung on. As well, you'll receive some pieces here of, basically this is like a magnetic sticky back tape. And you'll use this for a couple different things. If you can use this inside the wallet to hold the razor blades, and we'll provide that for you there. And you'll also use this as a little secret locking device a little bit later on, and we'll show you how to make that. So you'll get that magnetic tape. And also for the routine, we're going to provide you, if you want to do the gag with the water squirting out, we'll provide you with a ear syringe for that purpose. So those are all the props that you're going to need, except for your newspaper and tape and scissors to make your paper dolls, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Now I'm going to show you how to prepare one of my favorite gags in the show. But before we do that, let's take a look at what it actually looked like during the performance.
Now the blades are sharp. I'll show you just how sharp the blades are, and then I will perform an ancient mystery from the Far East. Watch. Sharp. Hua! Hua! Hua!
Like I said, that's one of my favorite gags, and obviously you can see why. That particular gag was given to me by a very good friend of mine, Alain New. He had the idea for chopping up paper, and all of a sudden it turned into paper dolls, and he said, you know, I can't use this because it's not my style. Maybe there's something you can do with it. And so this is what I did with it. The way you're going to prepare the dolls is you just get an ordinary piece of newspaper. I also do the Gene Anderson newspaper trick in my show, so I always have newspaper around. So I just tear some pieces off of that for the razor blades to make the dolls. What you want to do is you want to cut a strip that's about 6 or 7 inches wide, and it runs the whole length basically of the newspaper. You're just going to fold the newspaper in half, cut it off, get yourself a strip that's about that size. Then you're going to begin pleating it. Maybe about 1.5 inch sections I find are good, these sections here. So you're going to fold it and then fold it back on itself, fold it back on itself, basically accordion pleating the whole thing down the line. Fold it like this, and then you'll fold it back on itself. You can fold it like this, and then fold it back on itself. If it's easier for you to do it, you can use a tabletop for the surface. I've done this so long I can actually just do it like this freehand, and there you go. So you want to end up with something like this. Then you're just going to take a pair of scissors and begin cutting out the dolls. You start by just kind of going around and making the head. You're going to want to cut basically a half circle for the head. All right? Then just cut straight down, maybe about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, and form the neck right there. Then you're going to cut all the way off to the edge of the paper like that. So now you've got the head and neck. Then we're going to flip them around, and we're going to create an arm. Just go in here, cut maybe about 1/2 inch from the folds here. Then you're going to do a right-hand turn and just kind of swoop down at a bit of a diagonal, getting ready to come down and form the feet. Come back to the edge here, cut straight across, and then you've got your feet. And when you open this up, you've got your paper dolls. Very, very easy to do. Then you're going to have another section of newspaper, pretty much half the size of the original piece of newspaper you started with. This is going to be the piece that you're cutting or chopping up with the blades. What you want to do is get yourself some Scotch tape or double stick tape, and you're just going to attach the paper dolls to the end of the newspaper. What I usually will do is just place it here, and then I'll usually put a piece of double stick tape on the back there, or just run a piece of Scotch tape here just to hold the dolls to this piece of newspaper. So you just want them to hang on like that. So when it flips open, you've got your paper dolls. Then you're just going to accordion pleat everything back together again. Fold your dolls up, get them back into order, right? And then you're just going to press them here flat against the paper, like that. And then you're just going to begin rolling here, and here, and here, and here, making sort of a little envelope that those dolls can live in, like that. And then this, for the preparation section, we'll show you, but this I usually keep inside the wallet, fold the wallet closed so it holds it in place and ready to go. Then when you're going to perform it, you actually just unfold everything like this, Just keep your thumb on the dowels, and then you're going to slice and slice and slice, and then make your big slices. Grab the shreds of paper, turn your wrist like this, and then the dowels will drop out. Right? And then you can display them for the end of the gag to get the big laugh. So that's how you'll set up your little family of paper dolls. Dulling the blades, or else. I think it's very important to dull the razor blades. There are some performers who I've spoken to who do the blades that don't dull them when they put them in their mouth. They'll take a razor blade, an actual sharp razor blade, spin it around in their teeth, and then take it out and cut a piece of straw or cut newspaper with it. I don't believe that's necessary, and I'm not comfortable with putting an actual sharp razor blade in my mouth because the edge of these are, of course, razor sharp, so it's very, very easy to cut yourself. So I do recommend always dulling the blades, even the blades that you're going to use to slice through the newspaper with. It's very easy. We're giving you this dulling stone, and all you do basically is take the edge of the razor blade and just run it back and forth a few times along here, or you can run it back and forth along this little groove, whatever you feel comfortable with. And just a couple times, that's all it takes to really dull the razor blade up. You don't want to take too much of the edge off, but just so it's not razor sharp. Just run it back and forth a few times, and it's dull. Flip it around, do the same thing to the other side. When I first started doing this, I hadn't found this dulling stone, so I just ended up scraping the razor blade across a wooden pencil a number of times. But that's very, very time consuming. This stone just takes the edge right off, and you don't have to worry about it. One of the benefits of dulling the blades is that when you're slicing through the newspaper, there's no danger of you cutting yourself because you're actually handling these blades to slice through the newspaper. And the thing is that even though the razor blade is dull, it'll still make a nice straight cut through the paper. So why put yourself in harm's way if you don't have to? So remember to always dull the blades. Now we're going to deal with threading the razor blades that you're going to be pulling out of your mouth. In order to do that, you're going to use the button craft type thread. This is the heavier duty thread that you can't break with your hands. The reason I use this type of thread is because I want that strand of razor blades that I've made to last through many, many performances. And if you just use the regular white cotton thread, there's a chance that it could break, and then you'd have to restring your razor blades more often than you should have to. So that's why I use this particular type of thread. You're going to need a length of this thread. The length really isn't that critical at this stage because you're going to trim it down. I'd say maybe about a little more than 3 feet of thread there. Just trim that off, and again, you can't break it with your fingers, so you're going to have to cut it off like that or gnaw it off with your rodent-like teeth. Now, what you're going to do is take one razor blade, and you're just going to put the string right through that center opening and let it slide right down, maybe about a foot or so of thread remaining on the other end. Then you're just going to tie just a simple overhand knot. Just go around, reach through, and pull, and you'll see just the regular knot right there. You don't want to pull this too tight because you don't want the edge of the metal to slice through that thread, but just pull it down till it's just about like that, right in the center of the end of the blade. You're going to do this one more time. Again, go around, reach through, and pull that, and now you can actually cinch it up just a little bit tighter, and that actually locks the blade right there into position with the knot, just like that. Now, you have your extra 12 inches. You're not going to deal with that end of the thread. You're going to put that down to the bottom, and we're going to deal with the opposite end of the thread and begin putting the blades on this end. You're going to take another blade, place it on like this, and just let that come all the way down to meet the other blade here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to leave approximately 4 inches in between the knots of the blade. It doesn't have to be that precise because you have a little play room in the wrap that you're going to do. So it doesn't have to be that precise, but just about 4 inches. A good gauge for me when I do this is that what I like to do is I like to take my hand and place my fingers in there, and the distance across my fingers is pretty much the distance that I need to make these blades. Now your hand might be a little different, so you might need to let a little more thread out or a little less thread out, but I usually just wrap my fingers right around here and then tie the next knot in the blade like this. Again, you're going to do the same thing, just tie a simple overhand knot, pull it, and we'll show that to you again right there. Same thing as the first one. So you're going to end up with about that much distance between those blades. Again, tie another knot to lock it down. Toss that over, reach in, and just let that other overhand knot come right down and lock that blade into place, like that. You're going to do that procedure with all 8 razor blades. I'll do it again for you one more time, just so you can watch it. Thread it onto that end, pull it right down. I use my 4 fingers, place them in there, tie one overhand knot, just like this. It gets easier as you go because you're using less and less of this particular end of the thread. Again, there's that distance you want, right between the 2 knots, just about that much length. Once again, go in, toss it over, reach through, and lock it down like that. So now you can see actually how these are starting to come together. You'll go all the way down the strand until you get to the last blade. Now we're going to speed ahead in time. I'll thread all the rest of the blades and I'll show you how to deal with the last one. As you can see here, we have all 7 razor blades strung on the string, and we're coming down to that last blade, and we'll get to that right now. Again, just like before, you're going to take the blade, thread the blade onto the string, bring it down to about 4 inches or so, reach in there, again tying it off, locking that down there with another knot, and there you have it, just like that. That will be the last razor blade. All you do then is I'll just tie 1 extra knot in it for good measure, just for a little added security, because usually this last blade is the one that takes the most abuse. Then just trim off and leave maybe just 1/4 of an inch of extra thread there, or 1/8 of an inch, hanging off just like that. Okay? Perfect. And that's your last razor blade. No more thread comes off of that end. Now let's go back to the opposite end of the string, and we're going to put something very, very special here that will keep everything intact. And that something special is this piece of sticky back magnet. When we get to the wrapping section, I'll show you exactly how to do this, but in order to create it, you don't need that information yet. All you need to do is just cut 2 pieces of magnet, just like this, about the same size square. Perfect. They do like to stick to the scissors. Okay. You're just going to need 2 pieces about that size. Then you're going to want to take the sticky backing off of them, okay, and just leave them with the sticky back up on the table until you need them. Now, what you're going to do is go to the thread, and you're going to tie a knot in the end of the thread. Just go ahead and tie a little overhand knot again, just like you did with the blades, and just let it live right there on the end. Tie it again, bring it on down, just create a couple little knots there for something for this magnet to grip onto. Then what you're going to do is take 1 piece of your sticky magnet, just go ahead and press those knots into it like that. You can put a little extra bit of the thread, stick that to the magnet as well. Basically, you're just creating something that you can find and reference here. We're going to trim it up later. Go ahead and take the other piece with the sticky back facing your knots and your thread, and you're just going to press those together and just squeeze them together just like that. Nice and firm, squeeze them together. Then what I like to do is just sort of take the scissors and just round the corners out. Just make like a little button. Just round those out so you have some nice round edges there. Be careful not to cut your actual thread. Perfect. So just make a nice little round or semi-round. It's not that important that it's round. That's sort of a oblong, triangular, round shape. But all you're going to do is want something like there to be able to grab onto and reference. And I'll show you why this comes in handy when we go to learn the wrap. Now we're going to learn the wrap. And this is really the most coveted secret of this entire routine. When I worked for the Denny and Lee show while I was going to college, I saw Denny do the blades hundreds of times. And after the show, I would pack up the canvas-covered box and pack up the sword suspension and pack up the sword basket. And Denny would always take care of his presets and packing up the small hand magic. And I would always notice, because I was interested in the blades at this point, I would always notice that he would dip off into the corner somewhere with his strand of razor blades, and he would come back like a minute or two later, and it would be done. It would be finished. And I'm thinking, how in the world is he doing it that quickly? Because I had learned from the books that you have a piece of wood with two nails, and you put the blades over it, and you wrap the thread, and you stack it, and you wrap the thread and stack it. That's available in the literature, and that's certainly something that you can do with this as well. But so I started thinking, how is he able to do it that fast? And at this point, I didn't want to ask him for permission because I was still learning from him. So I figured I'd just try to figure it out on my own, see what I could come up with. So I spent countless hours with a strand of razor blades trying to backtrack and figure out what he was doing. And I came up with this particular wrap. And years later, Bob Kohler was talking to Denny and said, is this the same wrap that you use? And it's very, very similar, if not identical. I still haven't actually compared notes 100% with Denny on it, but I've come up with something else that is just a bit of something different for me. When Denny does his wrap, he doesn't use the magnet. He just ties a knot in it, and that works for him. But this made it a little easier for me. So thanks to Denny for this and inspiring me to learn it, because if it weren't for him, of course, I wouldn't be doing any of this magic. He really has been my mentor over the years, and I'm very, very grateful to him for all the help and advice and guidance he's given me along the years. And I'm also thankful to him for coming up with this wrap. So let's show you how to put this wrap together. The thing that I like the most about this is that it happens very, very quickly, and you can reset instantly. When I was working at Caesar's Magical Empire years ago in the Secret Pagoda, the close-up room, this was my closing trick. And we had to do basically 6-7 performances a night, 18-minute shows. So I had options. I could actually make 6 or 7 strands of these things and have them ready to go, or I could come up with a way to wrap it up real quick. And you can do this in a minute or two and reset. So that was another benefit. I didn't have to make tons and tons of these for multiple shows. So when you're doing the wrap, you basically want to start with the blade closest to your magnet here. You're going to hold that blade between your fingers just like this. And you'll notice the natural geography of the razor blade. There's these little grooves right here, these little grooves, and Denny used these grooves to his advantage, and I have as well. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the thread, go into this groove, behind the razor blade, and into this groove, and up. Right? Now the length here is, if you want to be very, very precise, you could feasibly retie this and lose that ½ an inch, but it's not really that critical. What I do is just make sure that the thread is a little bit wet when I'm doing the wrap, and go ahead and do your wrap there, push that up, and just press the blade against it and just trap that extra little bit of thread in between the blades and just press it down. It makes it much easier to wrap if the thread is wet while you're doing the wrap. If it's dry, the thread tends to want to fray out and go all over the place. So you're just going to repeat that pattern, but this time not going through just one blade, but through both. If you catch a little piece of that thread down in the corner, it's not that critical. You can go back and just tuck it in. Go like this, press the rest of that thread in, right? Go like this, press that thread in. So you're sandwiching the thread between the blades as you go. Now you're wrapping around 3 blades, and this particular one, I just strung these very, very quickly, but this is the perfect length right here, and that's something you're going to have to play with. If you're going to make the blades up and you want to make this absolutely perfect, go for it. But this is the perfect wrap right here. You go down into this groove, and you see that ends up perfectly matching right there, the length of thread, so you can just press that right down. That's the ideal situation right there. Right? Again, continuing with the wrap, this is also a pretty good one right there. You're going to want to pull the thread there out to the side, get it up to the top, go back down, around. Now this one's pretty good too. Press it right in there. Okay? And you're going to come down and around. Now this one's just a little shy, If you want, you don't have to go all the way into this corner to do the wrap. You could actually stop short right there and push up and only have it around one corner. That works as well. But that's about right. Again, the last blade, come in, and press that as well. Now you end up with a stack of razor blades. The thread is going down, around, and up, sandwiched in there. Now all you're going to do is tip everything forward, like this, so that your top blade of the stack is the first one that comes out. This is the first blade that's going to come out of your mouth, right there. You're going to want to take that extra remaining piece of thread and begin wrapping it around the blades like this. This locks them into place and secures them. Okay? Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that that magnet, when you do this final wrap, that the magnet will be able to stick to the blade right there. Now, again, you can measure it out perfectly if you want so that the magnet stops when you wrap it, or you can begin wrapping it like this, and you can take up a little bit of extra slack by going around this portion of the blade and then allowing it to stick right there. But you're going to want that magnet, the thread to go around, and then the magnet will stick right there to the blade. Again, that's something that you can play with, but that's the idea. So now, because that magnet is on there, instead of just having a knot, now your blade, your packet, sort of holds onto itself. It grabs itself and becomes its own little unit with that magnet stuck on there. So again, we can go through that part of the wrap. This is your top blade. You're going to go around and around and around. Sometimes if you like to take up some of that extra slack, you can wrap a little deeper down here and then gradually move up and around and stick that right there. Right? And that's how you're going to get that nice little packet that's going to go inside the wallet. So that's the wrap. That's the secret. It takes a little bit of a knack to find it, but you have all the ingredients and all the pieces to put it together. So work on that. That's one of the most challenging things that you'll have with this routine, is getting that perfect. And of course, as we know, it just takes practice. The loading of the wallet is next, and this is a very, very simple thing to do. It's very easy. The wallet holds everything in place for you, so you don't have to worry about it. You want to take the wallet and open it up, because it's very difficult to load the wallet if it's closed. What you're going to do is take the packet of blades, your pre-threaded packet of blades, with the magnet side, the side you're going to pull out first, facing the wallet. So the magnet is facing the wallet. That little packet is going to slide right down into this pocket, right back here, about halfway in. That's where that's going to live, right about there. Then it's a very simple matter to take all the rest of the blades and put them right here, right? and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Now, you have 8 blades in your little packet, and you really only need 7 blades and the stack. But we'll give you the 8th blade here, so if you want, you can just leave that in the wallet. It can be an extra, it could be a backup, just to have there. But you really only need 7 and then the stack. And to display this to the audience when I open it up, I just use my fingers to cover up that little stack so they don't see it, and then I display it to the audience in this way so that they can't see it. You could even let one of them select one of the blades at this point, but that's just my display for showing the wallet open face to the audience. So there's your load. You're going to close that up, and then I will put the paper dolls in between here as a preset, but I'll show you that when we get to the preset section. But that's basically how you load the wallet. Eating the blades is actually very, very simple. In a lot of other routines with razor blades and needles, often there's a lot going on in your mouth. There's a lot of activity. You have to push something to one side, move something here, flip something around. I wanted to make this as simple as possible so there's no risk of anything messing up. So actually, in this routine, all the blades are going to go in your mouth one by one and simply sit right on top of each other in a stack. And they stay there for the duration of the routine until you're ready to pull them out of your mouth. And I think that's what makes this routine so appealing to people, is because it looks so simple. You're not over-proving anything with the blades. I mean, the only proof that you really do is you hand the blade to a gentleman at the beginning and ask him to verify that's a genuine Gillette double-edged razor blade. So he sees it's real, he knows it's real, and the audience trusts that he represents them and is going to tell them that it's real. And then the only other real proof that you do is that you've swallowed the blades is that you're going to drink some water, and they'll actually see you swallow the water, so that proves that you actually swallowed the razor blades. So very, very simple, very easy, very direct. So let's go ahead and look at how we eat the blades. We'll get rid of the paper dolls for now. We'll show you that in a little bit. But right now, you're just going to open up your stack and just dig right in and grab one razor blade. The first thing that I do is I say, make sure, sir, that this is a genuine Gillette double-edged razor blade. Check it out. I take it back from it and I say, the reason that I have Bob examine the blade is because no one believes what I'm about to do. Then I'll take the blade and I'll clamp it in my teeth. And especially if I'm wearing one of the headset microphones, they can hear this clanking and resonating out in the audience. I'll do this. All right? So that again proves that it's real without over-proving it. They hear that it's metal. Then what you're going to do is simply just take that blade and place it onto your tongue right about here. Okay? And it just sits there. And the saliva actually on your tongue actually allows the blade to stick. Then you simply draw your tongue back into your mouth a little bit of the way and close your lips around it. You're going to do the same thing with each consecutive blade. You're going to put it into your mouth. It's going to sit right on top of the next one. I'll show you that. The first blade goes in. So now you can see we're creating a stack of razor blades. When you close your mouth each time to go grab a new blade, a little bit of saliva is going to come down from your hard palate and press onto the blades and make them wet. And because of that, you'll notice that because the blades are wet with saliva, they're now holding together as one unit. This is actually 3 razor blades stacked one on top of the other, but because they're wet with saliva from being in your mouth, they're actually holding together as one unit. I'll put these back in my mouth, and then I'll go load the other 7 so you can see exactly how it's done. I know it's very difficult to see inside my mouth while I'm doing this, so I'll do it as slowly as possible, giving you a chance to see exactly what I'm doing. So these are the 3 that are already in there. 4, 5. Now, at some point during the experience that I've had with the razor blades, I would actually do that. I would say 1, 2, and in between each number that I say, I would pretend to swallow the blade. You can do that as well. So this would be 5, 6, 7. So you can do that as well if you choose to. And again, we'll show you those blades, now that they're damp and wet with saliva, are holding together as one unit, just like that. Now, these are in your mouth, and in order to control the blades, I will use my tongue to press the blades up against my hard palate right behind my front teeth. This, I guess you could call it the lock position. So you're going to place the blades here, push them up with your tongue against your hard palate, and then that will lock the blades from moving so you don't accidentally swallow them. This lock position is used when I drink the water. I press it up against the hard palate, it locks everything down, there's no risk of swallowing the razor blades. You do not want to swallow a razor blade for real. In fact, I'll often also just bring my tongue back a little bit in my throat to just fill up that opening so that there's no risk of swallowing it as well. So here's the stack of 7 blades. The last blade is going to come out from the pocket. All you're going to do is reach over and grab, let your fingers go behind it and grab that whole stack of blades out and just blatantly show that to the audience as if it were one blade. It goes by so quickly, no one's going to see the string wrapped around it. I simply pull it out, show it, and pop it right into my mouth on top of the other blades. So in other words, these blades are here laying on my tongue. This simply goes on top of those other blades in my mouth with the magnet up. And because that's the way you're grabbing it out of the wallet, it's in a natural position to go into your mouth on top of these 7 blades with the magnet facing up. So we'll just backtrack a little bit. Already eaten these 7 blades. They're right there. I'm coming into the wallet, out. Goes right on top of the other stack. Now, something happens here at this point. What I'm going to do is I'm placing the blades on the stack onto the rest of the blades, and I'm just locking them down against my hard palate. But in the process, I'll let my front teeth just scrape across that magnet, right? Takes a little bit of a knack, but you'll be able to feel when you put it into your mouth that if you move your tongue a little bit forward and a little bit back, you can actually just scrape that magnet as if my fingernails my teeth, and you can actually just knock it right off of the top of the blades there. The teeth just kind of cause it to scrape and fall out, and you catch the magnet with your tongue and teeth right about here so that it's easy to access when you reach in and grab it from your teeth. I'll show you again. This goes here. The magnet is stuck to the top. The blades go in. So now you can access that very, very easily. Of course, that happens back in your mouth. You don't want to let it hang out of your mouth. Again, one more time. I'll do it, and then I'll pull the string out part of the way so you can see. Last blade. And that's what I'm grabbing onto there, is that magnet when I'm pulling out the rest of the blades. So that's how you're going to eat all of the blades, put them in one at a time, and pull them out. We're going to deal just a little bit in the next chapter with some blade management, and then we'll finish up the rest of the routine. So I wanted to talk to you about the thread and where it goes and what you do with it. For the routine, what you want to do is you want to have your cotton thread, not the button craft thread, but the regular thread that's very, very easy to break. And that's what you're going to begin to eat. Now, in my version, when the music starts, I pick up the thread and I let it spool out like this, and then I kind of swirl it around a little bit, make a magical display out of it, sort of mocking magic. Then what I do is I'll break off a section of thread, try to get the same length of thread that your blades are actually going to come out on. Some people will not notice it. Some people will. Just go ahead and make it around the same length. That way, if there's anybody who's really watching that closely, you get them too. So the way I break it is I stretch it out. I just wrap it around my pinky once and pull. And that breaks it. The thread goes away. There's a wonderful gag that's part of this routine that I had gotten from David Williamson. I saw him do this with a bunch of kids years ago at a magic convention, and it's a funny gag where you actually suck up the thread, almost like eating spaghetti. There's really nothing to it. If you want to add this to the routine, you just place it on your tongue like this, pretend to eat the thread, and then all you do is you purse your lips like you're going to whistle, and then you just suck some air up into your lips. I'll do it for you. You just basically just suck in, and if the thread is hanging right in the middle of that opening of your pursed lips, it'll just grab. You'll feel it grab, and it'll go all the way up. Just keep sucking until it goes all the way in, like this. That's all there is to it. Now, once the thread is balled up and is in your mouth, it actually coils up into a nice little package like this. It'll end up being something like that in your mouth, right around the front of your teeth and the tip of your tongue. Then all you do is kind of use your tongue to sort of roll the thread around, almost like when you're doing the ball for the gypsy thread. You're just going to roll it into a little ball, basically, and then use your tongue to tuck that ball down here underneath your cheek, right in the front. So the ball actually ends up here. In, out. And that actually stays there for the entire rest of my show. Once it's tucked down in there, I just sort of forget about it. You can drink the water, you can do everything with it in there. Sometimes I've packed up my show, left the theater, got in my car, I'm driving home, and I go, I still got the thread in my mouth. When I talked to Denny about this routine, Denny doesn't do that. He actually swallows the thread. I don't recommend it because when it comes back, Denny's had some problems with tangling, so might not want to mention that. So anyway, just keep the thread right here. That's all you got to do. As far as the water goes, when you're eating the blades and drinking the water, I've given this to a few guys to beta test, and they have, some of them don't feel comfortable keeping the blades pressed against their hard palate when they drink the water. So that's what I do. I take the packet, I press it, put the packet inside, and press it up against my hard palate. Just let the water pass by the blades and swallow them. It's sort of, your tongue locks them in place. Another friend of mine who did have beta test this for me prefers to do what's done in some of the other previous razor blade routines. He will actually use his tongue to sort of kick the blades up on their edge in the side of his mouth, in the cheek, while he drinks the water. He just feels personally safer. He just feels personally safer that way, having the blades in the side of his mouth. So that is an option that you can do. You can very, very easily have it. Place the blades here, and then flip them over to the side, drink the water, and then let them flip right back. So that's an option for you too. I wanted to talk also about the water, about when you drink the water and you do the gags. These are great gags. They've been around for a long time. The pouring into the ear and squirting out of the mouth is used by a lot of acts. The pee gag I got from silent movie. I think it was Harold Lloyd or Buster Keaton. Other performers today have used that gag as well. Just use discretion when you're doing it. You might not want to do it for some audiences. It might not fit your personality, but anyway, use your discretion and your good judgment about those two gags. But they are very, very funny. Like I said, when you drink the water, press those blades, let it pass right by. Then when you're going to do the gag to pour it in your ear, I actually really do. I drink the water and then just retain some of it in my mouth with the blades. And then I just put this up to my ear, tip it, let some water spill, and then let a stream of water come out of my mouth. Then as you follow up, if you're going to do the pee gag, take another sip, right? Pause for a second, look around, and then squeeze the bulb that you've placed in your pocket and let that go. So that's a little bit about the thread management, a little bit about the water management, and let's take a look at the next part. The revealing of the blades, where the blades come out individually, one at a time, neatly threaded on the string. It's a beautiful moment in magic. What you're going to do is, we've already covered that the 7 blades are there on your tongue, and the stack of blades with the magnet up is sitting there on your tongue as well. We've talked about locking them to your hard palate. I'm going to go in and begin to reveal the blades right now so that you can see exactly what happens. The whole stack has gone in the mouth. You've scraped that little magnet off with your teeth so it's easily accessible. And at this point, here's what it looks like. Now that's one blade coming out. Now there's a little bit going on in my mouth at that point. What I'm doing is I begin to pull from the magnet, and this section of thread right here that's wrapped around my fingers will begin sort of zigzagging back and forth as it unwinds itself from the wrap that you did earlier. So sometimes it might tend to get stuck, but just wiggle back and forth if that happens, and it will zigzag its way off until you can feel it tugging on this first blade. What I'll do then is I'll just let my bottom teeth just ride up the stack of blades till I can feel that first blade scraping just right across the top of my bottom teeth. And what that allows you to do is, by using your bottom teeth, it allows the bottom teeth to sort of retain the rest of the blades underneath the one that's coming off. It just acts as sort of a little lock. Those bottom teeth just kind of lock as the rest of the blades come off the top. You may need to push a little bit with your tongue here and there. You may need to move side to side against your hard palate. You may need to pull the string up, down, left, or right, depending on how perhaps the string might have gotten a little bit tangled. Maybe the water has pressed the blades together a little too much, and there's a little too much suction. You might need to release it. But just play around a little bit with it. The only way you're really going to get this is to actually put them in your mouth and then try pulling them out. And you may find your own little things that you can do to help facilitate the blades coming out a little better. But I'll show you right now with an exposed view what this looks like and what's actually happening. As you're pulling right here, the blades are just coming off the top one at a time, like that. They're just sliding off one at a time, right off the top. One at a time, coming out of your mouth just like that. I'll put the rest of this stack into my mouth so you can see it a little bit closer coming out. Now, the only thing that remains in my mouth at this point, after all 7 blades have come out, is the last blade, that 8th blade, and the original 7 that you put in your mouth. But because you have saliva in your mouth, these have all pretty much become stuck as one blade, as one unit. Now, I'm not so bold as to just pull this out of my mouth and let this dangle, because if you put too much pressure on this or too much of a shake, those blades may slide off. But the nice thing is that actually just looks like one razor blade hanging on the end there, but really it's 8 razor blades. The last blade of the stringed section and the other 7. That last one comes out of your mouth just as one unit, like this. I do it sideways, which is a little touch from Ricciardi. So that's a little nod to him, which really makes the audience's the hair on the back of their neck stand up, because they think it's actually cutting you as it comes out. It's a creepy moment. In order to do that, all you have to really do is just use your tongue to just lift either the right edge or the left edge, depending on which side you want to do it, and just kick it up into your lips like this. Trap it right there. So really what's happening is you're destroying the evidence. You're getting rid of those blades that were in your mouth by pulling them out as one unit with this blade. What I usually do is, just for extra added security, is as that last blade comes out, I'll do this. And pinch them all with my fingers to hold them together. And then I display the blades open in my hands like this, just showing them, holding on to the last blade very, very naturally. That's a perfect applause position to be in. The audience doesn't question anything. They've seen all the blades come out. And then at the very end, I'll just let the blades fall onto my table and take a bow, just like that. The music for this routine works very, very well for each of those individual blades popping out. It's like da 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 pop, da 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 pop. And I just kind of found that music by accident as I was looking through things, and I thought, wow, this piece of music from the Addams Family soundtrack, the movie, is perfect for the razor blades because it fits for me. Of course, that's what I use. You're more than welcome to go out and see if you can grab that, but you might want to find another piece of music that works well. You may want to do this a little bit slower. You may want to do it faster. You may want to do it in a mysterious way rather than a comical way. So go ahead and look for your own piece of music, but the important thing is when you're looking for your music is to really match the feeling that you want to convey to the piece. And that piece of music worked well for me. Now, once we've done all this, you've got the blades coming out of your mouth. We'll move on and wrap up the rest of this. As far as maintaining the blades, if you use the button craft thread, your strand of razor blades could last indefinitely. I've used some for months on end. What you want to make sure you do, though, is when you reset the blades back into your wallet, I always wrap the blades with the saliva still on them, with them wet. If I'm doing it fresh and I haven't done it in a while, I'll just dip them in a glass of water because, as I said before, it's easier to wrap them if the thread is wet. But what you want to do is when you're taking the 7 blades that you're going to be showing to the audience and eating, just make sure you dry them off on each side before you put them back into the wallet to do your reset. That'll prevent any rust from building up on them. If you do this over and over again, you will experience what we like to call thread rot. The actual thread that you're using may tend to be discolored a little bit if you don't use water. If you use another liquid like a red food coloring liquid or like a soda or anything like that to drink it with, the thread will change color. The reason I like to use a white thread, though, is because it's more visible to the audience. Some people use a black thread so that they don't have to deal with the thread getting discolored. But I do think it's important to stick with the white thread because it just looks more natural. You can see the connection between each blade. But just keep in mind that that white thread over time will dull a little bit. And sometimes it will want to deteriorate. Maybe it'll be sliced by some of the blades if you put a little extra tension on it. So just be aware to replace that thread once it starts looking pretty haggard. And you can replace the magnet too and the blades, of course. But to keep the blades maintained, what you want to do is, I've used a variety of different things for this. Probably not the best option is 3-in-1 oil. Because it's, of course it's an oil. And usually the blades come with a fine coating of that type of oil on it anyway. You can use PAM cooking spray. You can use vegetable oil, just a very, very light coating just to keep the air off of the blades because the air is what causes the oxidation for the rust. So just a tiny light coating of some kind of oil on those blades will keep them from rusting too much. The only other thing to cover as far as maintenance goes is just be aware that the blades are going to be in and out of water. So just try to keep them as dry as you can, keep them as oiled as you can, have the thread managed as much as you can, and then the blade should last you a long time. If you're going to end up storing the blades for a long time, you can actually store them in alcohol. It won't rust the blades, it will sanitize the blades, and if you store them in alcohol, it won't even deteriorate the thread. And every once in a while, you may want to just take a small dab of alcohol, clean off the blades, and then re-oil them. That way, everything is safe there for you. So that's how you maintain your blades. I just wanted to talk quickly on a few presentational points. And the main one, I think, is the idea of a comedy presentation of the razor blades versus a spooky presentation of the razor blades. For a while, I was doing a lot of Halloween shows and a lot of that type magic, and I did a version with my wife Jenny that was a very spooky version. There was blood involved. We were doing the razor blades in tandem. There was a bloody heart printed on a napkin at the end of the routine. It was all very cool and very avant-garde, but I find personally now that the comedy version of the razor blades works better for me, because the comedy kind of takes some of the sting out of the idea that you're putting these sharp and dangerous objects in your mouth. Because to the audience, this is very, very dangerous, and to some people, anything in the mouth can be very, very off-putting. For instance, like card in mouth, or sponge balls from the mouth, or mouth coils and the razor blades or needles. Some people just can't deal with it. It just turns them off completely. And I've had people come up to me after the show and say, "Oh, your show was great, everything was great, but those razor blades, I can't, And people are concerned that you're going to cut yourself. I get asked all the time after shows, "Do you actually cut yourself on those razor blades?" So people know, or people inherently know, because of the way this routine is set up, that it's dangerous. Even though it's funny, it's dangerous. And I think the juxtaposition of the danger and the humor is really what puts this over for most of the people. It's easier for them to take because it's funny. So be careful of the venues that you choose to do this in. You're not going to want to do it for a kid's birthday party, okay? Think about it. But I do this on cruise ships where there are family audiences, but I do make it a point. I don't make a joke out of it. I don't make a bit or a line. I just say, kids, don't try this at home. It's very dangerous. And you'll see why in just a moment. Or, I am a trained professional. Don't try this at home. And leave it at that. So that the people know that you're sensitive to the fact that they're sensitive to this. Because if you do this as a closer towards the end of the show, the audience is going to be on your side already. They're going to be rooting for you, and they're not going to want to see you hurt and not going to want to see you in danger. So just keep those things in mind. Also, another thing is that the thing that's great about this routine is that it can play all over the world because there's no speaking in it. It's all pantomime. And everything you do, every intention when you show the blades, you can play it up to a room that's very, very big because the blades are visible. They do gleam in the light and you can see them from a long distance. And the fact that you're doing it to music, you can work for international audiences, I think really makes this a winner. So just keep those presentational points in mind when you're putting together your routine for the blades. So you've learned how to make the paper dolls, you've learned how to do the wrap, and you've learned how to load the wallet. Now let's preset for the show. These items here are what we're going to use for the performance. And the first thing I'll do is I'll take the wallet. Again, it's already preset and loaded. We have our stack here. We have our blades there. All I'll do is simply take our paper dolls that we made earlier, just drop those in between. That sits just like that. I'll place that on the table with the spine of the wallet here facing to the right. I'll take our thread. The thread I'll usually place right about here next to the wallet. Then we have our squeeze bulb for our gag. I'll just squeeze that in and dip it into the water. Of course, you need a wine glass full of water. I like to use a wine glass because it really shows up nice and tall and is very, very visible. So you're going to suck up some water into your squeeze bulb, and I usually just leave that sit right here next to the thread, and then the wine glass will sit here, and then that's the preset for the show. I usually have that underneath my table, or if I'm using a table that doesn't have a back on it, and I'm doing this earlier in the show, I might just leave it set on the tabletop just like that. Looks very innocent, nothing to see. When I get ready to do the performance, all I simply do is walk over, pick up the thread with the squeeze bulb in hand, right? And then that just simply goes into my pocket, just like that. The reason I don't keep the squeeze bulb in my pocket during the whole show should be obvious. If you bump into anything, it'll leak and squirt, and you'll have quite an embarrassing situation going on in your pocket. So I just pick that up together, put the thread in my pocket right before I get ready to do the routine, and that way you don't have leaky pants. Okay? So there you go. That's your preset. Now we'll move on to the rest of the routine. So right now I'm going to walk you through the whole routine with no music, show you the little bits, all the little pieces, all the little nuances, so you can see everything that happens in sequence. So first of all, we're going to start off. I'd like to show you a routine that came from the Far East side of Las Vegas. I'm grabbing that squeeze bulb and the thread, dropping it into my pocket. Now, I say originally when the Chinese conjurers performed this centuries ago, they used sewing needles. Instead, I use Gillette double-edged razor blades, 8 of them to be exact. You, sir, take this razor blade in your own 2 hands, examine it, make sure it's a legitimate Gillette double-edged razor blade. Is it real? Is it real? He verifies yes. I take that back from him, and I say the reason that I have him verify it is because no one believes what I'm about to do. You see that? Oh, these taste like schick. Love that joke. My dad wrote that. My dad really has a horrible sense of humor, but when I was doing this for him, one of the times he saw it, he said, "Are those really Gillette? You could say they taste like schick." So anyway, credit to my dad for that line. So then the first one goes in, you show that. Then you're going to cut the paper dolls. You're going to say, now the blades are sharp. I'll show you just how sharp they are, and then we'll perform an ancient feat from the Far East. I'm going to, of course, open up the packet of dolls, keeping those dolls behind there so they can't see them, and then I proceed to chop it. Wha! And you can see that this razor blade has been dulled, but still it makes a nice cut in that newspaper. I do that a couple more times. Wha! And sometimes if I'm feeling goofy, I'll just go for the first cut, wha! And not do anything, and they'll laugh because it's almost like the blade didn't cut the paper. So you can do that again, chop it into shreds, and then I begin chopping back and forth diagonally because I want a couple of these little pieces that I've cut to drop off and fall to the floor, so it looks like I'm actually cutting the dolls out of the paper. So I go, right, and some of them fall off. Then I simply grip underneath with 2 fingers, blade is here, turn my hand over, let the dolls drop out, and display them. Boom, there it is. That gets great laugh. Don't run away from that moment. Let it hang out, let it stick there, let them get that picture in their mind because you don't want to waste that gag. That's a great gag. Then I just kind of cavalierly toss the dolls aside. If I know there's another act coming on behind me, I'll try to be aware and put those dolls on my table to leave as little rubbish behind for the next guy coming up. At this point in the routine, I'll go for the thread. I'll take the thread, spin off a length of thread about equal to what's going to come out with the razor blades. Break it off. I make a little funny comedy bit about that. Take the thread, look to the audience, pretend to eat it, get the little laugh. And at this point in the routine, I kind of pretend to break character and laugh along with the audience because I think it's ridiculous too. If you watch the routine carefully, you'll see that. It kind of brings them in and lets them know that you're human, right? All right, here we go. So we suck it up. Thread comes up. I'm rolling it, kind of chewing it around with my tongue. And I place it right down here in my chin, as we talked about earlier. At that point, I'll go for the water, take a sip, make a point to show them that I actually did swallow the thread. You can use your acting ability to make it seem difficult, like you're trying to get the thread down. Then I'll go back to the wallet. I'll show the blades and begin eating them one by one as the music plays. At this point, I'm going to have stuff in my mouth, so I'm not going to be able to talk to you, but I did want to say one thing. Later on in the routine, when it comes time to drink the water, what you're going to do to be able to drink the water is, again, like I said, just lock those blades to your hard palate with your tongue and just let the water pass right by the blades, pressing them to the hard palate, let the water just go pass right onto the blades. And then at the very end, let some water be retained in your mouth. Again, keeping those pressed to your hard palate so that if you're going to do the gag where you pour the water into your ear and spit it out, you've retained some water in your mouth, pressing those blades again to the hard palate, pursing your lips, and squirting the water out. I'm not going to spit water all over Bob Kohler Studios floor, so you get the idea. It's simple. So the blades go into the mouth one at a time. We'll walk you through that just like this. Blade number 1, 2, 3. And I make it a point to show my fingers empty after each one so they know the blades are really going into my mouth. 4. Now at this point, an added thing, if you do want people to examine your mouth at this point, this is just a little extra thing you can do. Once the blades go in your mouth, 2, 3, 4 of them, pretend to swallow them, take one out and go, check my mouth, make sure there's nothing in there. Now, they'll think you've already swallowed 3 blades because this 4th one is stuck together so effectively with the saliva, it just looks like one blade, even from close up. So then you say 4. So that allows you to facilitate an examination process if you want to do that. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Again, this is your packet with your magnet right here, the 8th blade. Now, drinking the water. And now, as I was pulling those out, something happened that may happen to you. As they were coming out, the string pulled the razor blade and wanted to tip it up on its edge. What I had to do is, you'll notice just a slight hesitation. I just kind of moved the thread and let it pop over itself, and it corrected itself and stretched out so that it could pass out through the mouth. Now remember, as if that does happen to you and it gets caught up, just move the thread a little bit, shift your tongue. Like I said, it's a knack thing that will enable you to make all those blades come out smoothly. And the more you do it, of course, the more you practice with it, the better off it's going to be. So that's how the whole routine is put together. Go back and watch it again. Pay attention to those important details. And once you've mastered this, go out and begin devastating audiences with the blades.